Hi everyone, welcome to DIY Ideas. So today I decided to show you a very beginner's project. So this is perfect if you are looking for a very first project where you're going to learn to sew and practice a little bit. As you can see, this is a very lovely cushion cover, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to show you how to do some neat stitching, how to make it look straight and neat. And I'll show you on the back side how I made it work without buttons or zippers or anything complicated. So this is called a hotel stitch, and yeah, it's super easy. It makes you not have to have any zippers or buttons or anything complicated to do. So if you're a beginner, this is a perfect project for you. It's just for a little bit of practice, and hopefully it's going to be fun for you to do. So for today's project, you're not going to need a lot of things. You're of course going to need the cushion that you want to do your cover for. So just choose any kind you like, then something to mark the fabric with. I have here some chalk, but you can do whatever you like. Then a measuring tape, some pins, and of course fabric scissors and a hand gauge. Okay, so I'm using a fabric that's not really stretchy, and I chose something that has a really nice pattern because I do want it to look great in the end as well. So you can use a plain fabric with no designs on it or anything like that. That's completely up to you. I just do recommend not to use anything stretchy just to keep it simple for you and easy to manage. Stretchy fabrics are not for beginners. So yeah, all in all, here is my cushion. So first, we're of course gonna need to see how big our cushion is. So take your measuring tape for that. You can of course do this as tightly as you'd like. So I'll just check what my sizes are, just a moment. Okay, so yeah, just like I hoped for, I do have the two sides the same, so they're 38 centimeters in this case. And yeah, I'm gonna do a cover for 40 times 40 just to keep it nice and neat. Of course, if you do want it a bit tighter in there, you can make it exactly the same size. It might be a bit tricky to get it in and out, but all in all, it should work too. Just make sure you don't do it too large. Okay, so here is my fabric. I had 38 times 38 centimeters, and I actually decided to do 40. So that's where I'm gonna mark as well. And I just wanted to clarify, so we're not doing the circumference when we're measuring, so just really the width and the height of our cushion. Or actually, sorry, so I did decide to keep this at 38 centimeters exactly just to have it a little bit fluffier in the end. So you see the marks here for that. So that's exactly the same size as my cushion. So we're gonna need two of these, of course. The second one should be 10 centimeters over the section on the front, because we're doing the back out of two parts, so we're having two halves that intertwine, or not intertwine, but actually overlap. So the 38 centimeters we're keeping for the one side for the width, and then the height is going to be different. So the width stays 38 centimeters, 38, but we're gonna do half of the height, so we're gonna do 19 centimeters in my case. Of course, we're gonna need some room for our stitches on the back, so we do want about 10 centimeters more than the 19. So just to have enough room, I'll do 38 centimeters times 30 centimeters. And of course, we're gonna need that exact same thing 2 times. So one piece is going to go in the front. So that's the front side, 38 times 38 centimeters. And then 2 pieces that are exactly the same width, but the height will be the half plus 10 centimeters. So here you see the one big front piece, and then I'll show you the 2 back pieces that are a bit smaller. So the half of the width plus, or the height plus the 10 centimeters for the stitching. So that depends on your cushion, but this is all you're gonna need. So before we get to the sewing, if you have a pattern like I do, you do want to choose the direction, how it's going to look. So of course you're going to have the one direction going from top to the bottom, and because of the back section, you do want that nice and precise. So we're putting the 1/2 in the same direction, of course, as the front section to keep it nice and neat on both sides. And we're doing it pretty side on pretty side. Before that, we're gonna, of course, choose the direction. So I'm just trying this out with you guys. So the back, of course, has the hotel stitch, which has like a little slit where the cushion can get out and back in. So for that, we're gonna need to fold it a couple of times. So with the back pieces, the bottom section and the top section of the other half should have a nice ending that's kind of seamed and looks nice and neat. So when you decide on your direction, you do want to seam the top and bottom of the two halves for the back section. So in case you don't know how to do that, I'll show you. So you can just take the one piece, and for this, you can use an iron. It does help a lot. So you want to fold this and you want to keep it straight. So feel free to use your hand gauge or your measuring tape or whatever you prefer. So I'm doing 1 centimeter and I'm just ironing over it then. And then I'm going to do it one more time. And this time I'm going to do 1.5 centimeters, almost 2. So that's about 1/2 inch. And then we're just going to iron over it before we actually get to the stitching. We're going to do a straight regular stitch on here, but before that, definitely I do recommend using an iron to keep it easy. So here are the two ends, so the top and the bottom, that are actually going to overlap when we're done. So these I ironed, as you can see, they're as straight as they can be. And now we're just gonna stitch over this section. So just take your sewing machine, keep it straight or as straight as you can, and just do a regular straight stitch, so nothing special this time. Keep it as close to this bottom section as you can, the bottom edge. Also, if you find some matching thread, then you can even hide the stitch and make it almost invisible. Of course, you can do this in a very contrasting color if you know that you can do a straight stitch without making mistakes. So just make sure you did the ironing section or the ironing step really nicely, and of course keep checking with your ruler or hand gauge or whatever that you are having the same distance, and then it should be just fine. So let's get the stitching. So this is how we're starting. So we're taking the very end here, and you can always see with the foot here of our sewing machine, so you always see this middle slit kind of. So that's going to be your mark where your needle is actually going to go. This makes it a lot easier to plan and work with. So that's what we want to align with our piece of fabric. So of course, since you did keep this straight by ironing over it and measuring throughout that process, it's not going to be difficult to align this middle section where your needle is going to go with your fabric. On this other side, a cool trick is to also use these lines. They're actually there for you. So you do want to have the same distance from those lines. You can definitely align with those as well, so whichever way fits you better, the middle line of the foot or here on here. So it's always a 1/2 centimeter, and it kind of helps keep all of this in place as you work with it. So here you can see that my piece perfectly aligns with one of the lines here, and there's not a lot of room on the other side either. Okay, so here we are, everything is straight and flat on here, and now we can get started. So for securing our stitches, we're actually going to go reverse and not reverse a couple of times. That's called securing the stitch, just in order to keep it from ripping. Okay, so we did secure it a couple of times there and back. And from there on, we can continue with a regular straight stitch, and we're just going to do the entire side while keeping it as straight as possible. You also want to have 2 fingers before your needle and 2 fingers after it. That way you're just making sure that everything stays aligned. Now we're going to secure it again, so we're again going to go back and forth a couple of times. So I did the same thing on the other piece as well, and you can see the outer side here. So I took a piece of thread or the color that actually pretty nicely matches this, so it's not as visible. So if you're having anything weird going on here with the thread, that means that your bottom thread isn't in the right place, or something's wrong under there. So that's what you want to check with your sewing machine. There's also another video for that if you're not sure what I mean, if you're really a very beginner. So feel free to check that video out. It's going to help you a lot. But if you know what I mean, then you can just fix the bottom thread and keep working. So you see here, it's super simple to do. It's just a regular straight stitch. All you need to take care is that it's not doing anything weird here on top due to the bottom stitch. So just make sure you start off the right way. And also here is the section that we secured, so you see what that looks like from the front. It's a bit thicker, but it definitely keeps everything in place and prevents any ripping of stitches as you use the cushion cover later. So okay, now the next step is actually going to be aligning this. So you see here, we're actually going to have just one of these stitches or one of these seamed ends visible. So now just decide which one you want on the outer side. Now we can get to the main part. So we're actually taking this front piece, looking towards us in the direction that we want it. And now we're going to take our halves and put them pretty side on top of here. The stitch or the side that you want to have hidden on the back should be the one that's actually on the top here. Also make sure that your direction is still the same. So this is the pretty side on pretty side thing that I keep saying. So they should be looking toward each other and actually away from you. So you should be seeing from both sides, just the back sides of your fabric. So anyway, let's now align the second piece as well. There we go. So we also do want to take care that the ends are as aligned as possible. Also, make sure there is nothing weird going on, no folds in here that you don't want, or any wrinkles or anything. If you ironed over it, it should actually be just fine. So yeah, we do want all edges aligned. And now we're just gonna go all around and just stitch this up with a regular straight stitch. Then we're gonna skip the corner, of course, keep going. This section is going to be a bit thicker simply because we do have the fabric overlapping, but you just keep going all around. You don't need any openings left or anything, so just all around here. Also, as I said, just take care that this section is going to be a bit thicker, so you might need to pay a little bit more attention when doing that, just so you keep everything nice and neat. You can also pin this, of course, if you'd like to keep everything in place. The more pins you use, the easier that's going to be. Of course, then you just need to remember to take them out before you start stitching that section that the pin had. I highly recommend this for corners and for the overlapping sections. It just makes everything so much easier. So just carefully take them out as you stitch the whole thing up. So in order to keep the corners neat, we're just going to go about 1 centimeter away from the edge with our stitch. Then we do want the needle inside the fabric still, so not out. And then we're just going to turn by a 90-degree angle. So we just want a corner. There we go. We're straight again, and we can just continue that way. Now we're going to fix the corners by just cutting off the leftover fabric on the outside of the stitch. That way they're going to be a lot nicer when we turn it inside out. And now we get to that step where we turn it inside out. And since we do have this huge slit for the cushion, we can actually do this very easily. You can also fix the corners by pulling the very tips out with some pins. Here is the pin trick that I just told you about. Just make sure you don't rip anything, but it's actually a really cool thing to know. And there we go, we have a really neat and pretty corner. So you see now what this looks like. So here is our cushion cover and we're already done. So you see here the hotel stitch, as I like to call it, and the inside as well. It's all super neat on the outside and inside. So this is a very cool trick for easier projects where you don't really need zippers or buttons, or in case you really don't want to do them. This is a really cool trick to know. In the front you can't really see anything, so that's also a really cool way to hide your work on the back. And you see that even if it is visible, it's really neat. It's really all straight and flat on here. So now all there is left to do is actually push our cushion inside and see what it looks like, see if the size fits. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to show you the cushion. So here we are, and you see what I did with the overlap, so you can't really see the cushion anywhere. It's just the cover on the outside, which is exactly what we want. You don't even see the overlapping section, so where we did do the both fabrics one over the other. So that's exactly what we wanted. Of course, you can do this a little bit smaller, a little bit larger if you'd like, this overlapping section. So that's completely up to you, but this is the basic version of the hotel stitch. So I think the cushion looks really good. I also really like the fabric. This is a little bit sturdier, which is a great choice for cushions. Of course, you can do this in a stretchy fabric, but in that case, I just do recommend being really careful with it. That way, you have a really neat result and a really nice pattern in case you're using a patterned fabric. So you see that all of the stitchings are really nicely and neatly done. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the project, and I hope that you found this fun, that you could practice a little bit. So it's a super great result in the end. You can of course do a lot of practicing here or a lot of first time stitching. It's just straight stitches all around, and that's also a really cool thing to learn. It's always something you're gonna need. So yeah, as I said, I do recommend a really nice pattern as I have here, but you can choose of course something that fits your own interior design or your own style, of course. You can do this as a gift even for someone else, which I think is a really great idea. So you guys, as I said, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this useful. I hope you like the end result. Feel free to let me know in the comment section what you think. If you maybe do this different way, feel free to let me know how you do this. If you have any tips and tricks to share with me and other people watching, feel free to do that as well. So all in all, thanks for watching DIY Ideas. If you would like to stay updated with our other projects, feel free to click the subscribe button. That way you'll always get notified when we post something new. So once again, thanks for watching. See you in our next video. Until then, have a wonderful day. Bye!